Hello, welcome to the League of Idiots channel. I'm Redrobin3, and in this episode of PvP Balance Talk, I'm going to be looking at Counter-Strike Global Offensive's $500 pistol range, including the Tech 9, the CZ75, and last but not least, the 5.7. I'm going to be looking over how these guns have changed in the recent updates and showing some results of some shooting. So let's get started now with some accuracy tests. First, I take a look at the Tech 9. If you see, the single standing shots are pretty much dead on, with only slight deviation to the top or to the left. If we start looking at a bit of a spray pattern, they're also mostly on point as long as you tap with some consistency and a few pauses here and there. Notice how the spread is a bit random, but it deviates a bit to the left, a bit to the right, some to the top, some to the bottom. So if we look at some of the random spraying, we get to see how it's almost like a cone shape. So as long as you pull down, it should pretty much be dead on if you go for chest shots. With the recent updates to the Tech 9, you can also manage to get some pretty accurate moving headshots. So as long as you have good cursor placement, you should be able to land those one taps as soon as you peek. Moving on to the 5.7, it's supposed to be more accurate than the Tech 9, but if we can see here, standing shots are still pretty much just as accurate as the Tech 9. They deviate slightly from the center, but not too bad. Looking at double taps and triple taps, however, it actually shows a different picture. It's fairly accurate to shoot on the move, full spray, and have a pretty tight pattern. If we take a look at its main spray pattern, we see why it's a lot easier to control. It's essentially just a vertical column straight up. So with a little bit of practice, just pulling down at the right time will cause all the shots to be grouped up relatively close. This allows for easy sprays and easy headshots. Looking at the moving one taps though reveals that there's a flaw with the 5.7. It's not as accurate in the move as the Tech 9 is. So going for moving headshots might not be the ideal. You might want to try and stutter step so that you actually get that accurate headshot while standing still. Now moving on to the CZ75, you only get 12 shots per magazine, so you really have to make them count. The single taps are just as accurate as any of the other guns, with a little bit more deviation to the left. And since there's no real way to double or triple tap, you really just gotta spray and hope for the best at mid-range or close range. Looking at the spray pattern reveals this big flaw in the C75. And having run out of bullets, I need to reload the game, get some more ammo, and see if I can somehow correct it. The correction looks a little bit odd, but I guess it'll do if you're really stuck in a pinch. What I was surprised to find is the moving single taps are almost as accurate as some of the other guns, if not better. So single tap peaks should be pretty effective. Just be careful not to do a double tap like I did there. The bullets completely deviate. Looking at the damage values, the Tech 9 comes out on top with the most penetration power, so armor really doesn't affect it that much. You'll still get those one tap headshots, or 3 or 4 shots to the chest gets an easy kill. However, you have to be careful because since they are pistols, their damage will drop off a lot easier at ranges than rifles do. What came to a surprise is that almost anywhere you hit, you can get a 4-shot kill except for the legs. The 5.7 comes with a little bit less damage than the Tech 9, but it'll still generally get the job done with 1 or 2 shots to the head. The problem now is, what if you hit the chest or the arms? Well, you're going to be looking at maybe a 4 to 5 shot kill range, so the damage will suffer there. It's best always to go for the headshots anyways. Even though the CZ75 lacks a lot of rounds, it'll still get the job done damage-wise. It has damage that almost rivals the Tech 9. The only trade-off though is the accuracy, of course, but it'll mostly get the job done with a couple of shots to the chest, 3 to 4, 1 shot to the head, or 4 shots to the legs. So really close to the actual damage values of the Tech 9. The problem though is 12 rounds doesn't leave you with a lot, so you really want to try and get those sprays out, or maybe even catch them by surprise around the corner. So let's take a look at how some of these guns would actually be used. Thanks to the various buffs to the Tech 9, it leaves it open for a possible choice for the open fragger, allowing you to one tap over a corner or even double tap if you're out in the open. The accuracy is so much greater now due to the recoil changes that you can even go in a full burst rampage and land most of your shots. And its great capacity magazine allows you to get in there, scare everyone off, and even continue the chase or cover different corners at the same time. Definitely a big change and an improvement to what was needed for the Tech 9. Since counter-terrorists tend to hold position, it makes sense that the 5.7 isn't as accurate on the move as the Tech 9 or the CZ75. However, its really predictable recoil pattern allows you to place those shots on moving targets a lot easier than they can on you. Even going full spray means that you can still control the recoil and get those shots placed properly. Doing double taps as you peek around isn't as accurate as using the Tech 9 though, so you might want to stick to hiding in cover. However, if you really have to, you should try and utilize the stutter stepping movement technique so that you only get 1 shot off per peek. This allows you to get at least 1 accurate shot. I can't emphasize how much the 12-round magazine actually impacts the usefulness of the CZ75. It pretty much means you have to use it how almost everyone's already been using it. Ambush weapon. Just hide around a corner, the minute you hear someone, pop out, get a couple headshots, move on. This means that if you do choose to switch out any of your other guns for the CZ75, you're really just hoping to lay back, play a supporting role, and try and get those shots as someone sneaks by. Or even hope that maybe your teammates give you a better gun. Because if you try and engage at the mid-range, you're not going to really get any shots landing. You might be able to poke them out 1 or 2 well-placed shots, but you're mostly going to be limited to only doing quick taps. I really have to hand it out to Valve. They really seem to narrow down the gap between which gun is better. The Tech 9, the 5.7, or the CZ75. They've given them a proper purpose now, thanks to the Tech 9's recoil and accuracy buffs. So if you choose to use the CZ75, you're still going to be using your ambush tactics. If you go for the 5.7 as a counter-terrorist, you're going to be looking for those more precise one-taps or holding down positions. And the Tech 9 has gained a brand new role as the open fragger weapon, thanks to its really accurate one-taps or being able to spray all 32 rounds with some relative ease compared to what it was before. So thanks for watching, like, subscribe if you like what you saw, and I will see you next episode.